but what you'll hear at the end of this video might honestly shock you. So don't even think about clicking away, especially if you're over 60, on a fixed income, or already retired. Because this time, it's not rumor, it's not speculation, it's the president himself talking about sending out a direct payment, a so-called distribution or even dividend to the American people, and the amount from $1,000 up to $2,000 per person. I'm not here to hype anything. I'm here to break down exactly what was said, what it could mean for you, and what we know right now. No nonsense, no politics, just facts in plain English for anyone out there trying to make smart choices in a world full of noise. And listen, before we get too deep, I want to get a feel for who's watching. If you're comfortable sharing, comment your age and state. I'd love to know who's planning smarter out there. Теперь, обратно к делу. The clip we're breaking down today is short, barely a minute long, but it's been causing a stir for недели после падения. People are confused, hopeful, skeptical, and everything in between. Я получил сообщение за сообщением. Где то się wzięło? Is this real? Когда произойдет? And most of all, who actually gets it? Fair questions. You deserve straight answers. So, we're going to walk through exactly what he said, why it matters, and what the realistic expectations are, not the hype. You'll hear the president talk about using tariff revenue, money the government is already bringing in, and instead of letting it sit or vanish into some budget hole, he's openly talking about sending it back to the people of America, like a dividend, a payout, cash in your pocket, not a credit or deduction down the line. And while everything is still in this we're thinking about it stage, the range on the table right now is clear. $1,000 до $2,000 за каждого подходящего человека. Это не копейки. That's a new water heater, car repair, property tax relief, or maybe just a breath of fresh air for somebody still catching up on groceries or utilities. And sure, it's easy to get cynical. We've heard talk before things stall, lawmakers drag their feet. But here's the thing, most people miss. These ideas don't show up out of nowhere. It means the conversation is happening behind closed doors. It means the pressure is real. And it means, just maybe, someone finally realized that for millions of Americans, $1,000 today matters more than $1 trillion policy 6 years from now. So stick with me, because in the next part we're going to play that exact clip line by line and talk through what's actually being signaled here and why it might be closer to reality than you think. Alright, here's where it gets interesting. When the president was asked about the tariffs, the taxes collected on imported goods, he didn't dodge. He said, "Your tariffs are going to be over $1 trillion a year." Then he went on talking about paying down debt, growing the economy, and, right in the middle of it, he drops the line that made everyone's jaw drop. We also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America. And when the interviewer pressed him, "How much are you thinking for that, sir?" he said plainly, "We're thinking maybe 1,000 to 2,000 be great." That's the moment. And the look on his face. Serious. Calm, not some offhand joke. Told you this wasn't just a throwaway line. It was intentional. Now, let's unpack that. A distribution, or dividend, those aren't random words. In business, that's when profits are shared with shareholders. In this case, the people are the shareholders, the ones keeping the country running, paying taxes, living through inflation, and carrying the weight of an economy that doesn't always give back. And for retirees and seniors who have spent a lifetime contributing, that language hits home. It's not charity, it's acknowledgement. But I want to be clear, and this is important. He didn't say checks are going out tomorrow. There's no signed order, no date, no application process. What there is a conversation at the highest level about using government revenue to directly benefit citizens. And if you've been around long enough, you know how rare it is to hear that kind of talk from the top. Now, I've seen the same comments you have, folks saying, "He only said maybe." Он сказал, "Мы о нем думаем." You're right. But here's why that still matters. Ideas like this don't die easily once they're said out loud. Once they hit the airwaves, they take on a life of their own. Lawmakers debate it, economists analyze it, and public pressure builds. If history tells us anything, it's that the government moves slow until it doesn't. Hey, a single spark, a downturn, a market shift, a political push, and suddenly an idea becomes a bill. A bill becomes a vote and checks are being printed faster than anyone expected. That's why I always tell people in our age group, stay alert, stay informed, and don't get lost in the noise. The world moves fast, but not faster than the headlines you ignore, because those are the ones that change things quietly while nobody's watching. And what you'll hear in the next section might surprise you even more, because we're going to talk about the real odds of this dividend happening, because how the timing could line up, and what kind of impact it would have if it did. Ostavajcie sa mną. It's about to get very real, so what are the chances realistically that this distribution faktycznie ląduje na twoim koncie bankowym? Let's cut through the noise. If you've dealt with Washington any time in your life, you know two things are always true. 1, they move slow until suddenly they don't. And 2, they only act fast when they have to, especially when it's tied to the economy or the people who vote. And here's where it gets interesting. This talk of a direct payout isn't popping up in a vacuum. Over the past year, there's been a wave of public frustration. Inflation eating into fixed incomes, rising costs on essentials, limited social security increases that already feel outmatched. Seniors, retirees, the backbone of this country, you've been squeezed hard. And lawmakers are feeling it. Pressure creates movement, and a distribution funded by tariff revenue. That's one way to boost public perception without tapping into the national debt or raising taxes. It's clean. It's simple. It's a headline. And let's be honest, no one in government wants to be the one. 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 In government wants to be the one 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 in government. Caught arguing against giving seniors $1,000 or $2,000 in an election cycle. Теперь, случится ли это завтра? Нет. But all it takes is the right push, an economic dip, a tight vote, or even strategic timing ahead of major decisions. And suddenly those maybe, and we're thinking about it, start to sound a lot like it's happening. The other key piece is timing. Government programs, especially ones involving direct payments, have a rhythm. They roll out after something big, a crisis, a downturn, an announcement. Those of us who lived through the last few relief checks know that, and political calendars are just as real as economic ones. The closer we get to high-stakes months when public opinion matters the most, the more likely it is that something like this gets traction. So, am I saying it's guaranteed? Not at all. But is it wise to stay tuned, stay prepared, and keep your eyes on the ones who've already said the words out loud? Absolutely. Because if this thing moves even 1 inch closer to reality, you'll want to know before it hits the headlines. And in the final part, I'm going to break down exactly what you'll want to look out for, the signs, the signals, and what you can do right now to be ready if this dividend plan turns from talk into action. Останься прямо здесь. We're wrapping it all up next. Alright, let's bring this home because if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just another headline. This is the kind of story that starts quiet, spreads fast, and before long становится тем, о чем все вдруг заговорили. So, let's talk about what happens next and what you should be watching for. The first real sign this dividend is moving forward will come in the form of language. When you start hearing officials repeat phrases like direct distribution, tariff rebates, or citizen dividend, that's the smoke before the fire. Watch for that. It means the idea is being tested publicly. The next signal is budget talk. If they start floating numbers that line up suspiciously close to $1 trillion in tariff revenue, pay attention because that's exactly the pool of money being referenced in that interview. And when they mention returning it to the people or stimulus through tariff surplus, that's the green light moment. It means they're finding a path to make it happen without triggering new debt fights or votes on spending cuts. Теперь, будет ли это быстро? Вероятно, нет. But history shows these things snowball once it's politically convenient, especially for those courting the 60-plus community, which happens to be the most consistent voting bloc in the country. It's not a question of if, it's when. And I don't need to tell you what an extra $1,000 or $2,000 could mean right now. For some, it's medical bills. For others, a little breathing room between Social Security payments. Or maybe it's just peace of mind knowing you've got a cushion for the next surprise expense that always seems to show up right when you don't need it. But let me say this clearly. Don't fall for fake promises or pop-up websites claiming to register you early. There's no sign-up, no list, no shortcut. If it happens, it'll be official and you'll hear about it straight from the top. Until then, your best move is exactly what you're doing right now. Staying informed, staying sharp, and never assuming someone else will catch it for you. Because those who pay attention first are the ones who benefit first. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, if it cleared some of the fog or just gave you a little peace of mind, make sure you're subscribed here. This channel's all about keeping people like you smart, steady, and seasoned. Odin Shag vperedi Shuma. New updates come fast, and when something breaks, I'll bring it to you right away. No spin, no filler. Stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next